My talk is called Serenity Now. Is it any wonder that older people, especially men who are over 85, feel like killing themselves? And suicide rates amongst men who are 85 and over are the highest rates of suicide of any group. And sometimes we ourselves feel like killing men who are over 85. My experience is drawn from my family, my own father who's over 85, and my friends and my neighbours, and also from working for the last 10 years to try and prevent suicide and depression in older people. Our system is stacked against the old. There's little to support them having meaningful and contributing lives. There's little respect for older people, and their opportunities for relationships are greatly reduced. Although you might have lost your job, your car, your spouse, your mobility, you can think again if you expect anyone's going to make any effort to get you back into the fold. There's really no such thing as a free lunch. Take my parents. They decided to try and stay in their own home. They were using a system called My Aged Care. Has anyone heard of My Aged Care? Well, it's the government system which is supposed to encourage people to stay in their own homes and encourage people to be independent and help you. And it's called My Aged Care, but it's nobody's aged care that I can think of. My sister has a degree in chemical engineering and a really high-powered job, and she tried to use My Aged Care to get my parents some support to stay living at home in Sydney. And after a while, someone from Queensland rang her up and said, "Oh yes, you want home care for your mum, is that it?" And she said, "No, I wanted some help for them to go shopping and, cleaning." And finally, they gave her a list of different places, companies she could use, and she found one and paid them thousands of dollars. They provided a service that my parents hated and didn't use, and then it took her a very long time to get her money back again. So that was her experience of My Aged Care. And the other thing is you have to be on hold on the phone for, hours. After a while, my parents weren't suitable for that anyway, and they needed to go into aged care. When my dad was in the rehabilitation section of the hospital, the social worker said to me, "Look, Jane, anywhere you go for aged care, you're going to have drooling people and it's all going to smell, and that's just how it is." And even the lovely social worker on my team where I work said to me, "Jane, you might just have to take the first thing you can get. If it doesn't smell, then that's good enough." With these words ringing in my ears, I've travelled around trying to find aged care for my parents, and sure enough, there are lots of horrible places. So I jumped at the first one that looked like a private hotel that was an extra services place. Extra services means that you have to pay $30 extra a day per person to get apparently better standard of care. Well, better standard not of care, things like wine with your dinner, fresh flowers, the newspaper, things like that. I'm thinking, really, if you're depending on your meals as one of your main forms of entertainment, shouldn't everybody have decent food? No one have to pay extra for this service? Anyway, my parents were in this place, and I'd asked for the wine, and it was never actually forthcoming. And I'd go there on the weekends, and the newspapers weren't there. And I'm thinking, this is costing us $420 extra on top of the ordinary services charges that you pay. And as well as that, you had to you could go on excursions, but as the receptionist said to me, "Look, you might be able to get a bus trip once a week, but we have to cater for everyone here, so you can't be expecting to be going out all the time." Naturally enough, my mother hated this place, and I've had to move them to another place. And I've moved them to another place which is not for profit, and it is a bit better, but still, it's not good enough. And you look at the activities timetable, and I look at it closely, because I'm ringing them yesterday to say, "Did you do the activities?" Because you need something to keep you going if you're in these places day after day. And there's hours and hours of time that you have to try and fill in. And on this activities calendar, they've included things like a television channel as one of the activities, and the staff handing out ice creams as one of the activities. So is it any wonder that if you're an older person facing this, you might think about taking your own life, that you might be depressed? It's not any wonder. But I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be this way. Although suicides in Australia are increasing, in England they're actually going down. And at this very conference a year ago, one of the social researchers here said to me the reason is because older people in England are actually pampered. They have free free travel on the buses for pensioners. If you're over 60, you get a third off first class rail travel and standard rail travel. And if you're in London, there's a thing called the Freedom Pass, which gives older people free travel. And if you're over 65, the government helps you with the costs of heating your own home. In England, they also have a campaign called the Campaign to End Loneliness, where they're trying to reduce the loneliness that older people often feel. In Australia, we've had a 60,000 year tradition of looking after older people. In Aboriginal culture, if you say about a person that they care for, that they respect their elders, then that's considered a great compliment and a great attribute. So I'm suggesting that we go back to that. In Australia, we've just started a coalition to end loneliness called the Australian Coalition to End Loneliness. And I want you to join me in fighting ageism and insisting on decent aged care. It's nobody's plan. None of us are expecting or wanting to end up in aged care. But one day, it could be one of us, and all of us are going to face getting older.